PopTards! Welcome to JDs Blargh. This episode is for the boys, nay, men. For are we not men, my fellow men? Men is what we are. Any ladies watching this, don't you think your time might be a little better spent in the kitchen, baking me a sweater and knitting me a pie? Because I don't want to have to introduce you to the back of my hand. His name is Ezekiel Jawbasher, and he'll tell you what's what. Alright men, with the ladies gone, we're going to talk about something called film noir. A time when men paid their dues by the skin of their knuckles and the sweat on their fedoraed brows, and they made love as they should, selfishly. This week I've been enjoying a story about just such a man who isn't afraid to get his hands around the necks of those who have incurred his wrath. A mean son of a bitch who kicks ass and takes names. He is called simply Parker. Parker is a construct of an author named Donald Westlake who chose the name Richard Stark. Richard Stark is a name he chose because he wanted to remind himself of just how his writing was going to be. He wanted to use a very bleak, dark, stark style of writing. And so our hero, if we can even call him that, is a man of few words. Parker is the protagonist of a series of books written by Richard Stark, but this week we're only going to be talking about The Hunter. For the longest time, people have been remaking and adapting the books based on Parker, but I don't think any have been allowed to actually use the name Parker. Until recently, when a man named Darwyn Cooke contacted Westlake and convinced him that he should be allowed to use the name Parker and adapt those books into a series of graphic novels. And that's exactly what he's been doing. Now, if you know shit from Shinola, you do know that Darwyn Cooke is the man behind one of my favorite DC comics, New Frontier. And it's so great that it probably deserves its own Blargh. And Dan DiDio, you can use that as your new marketing campaign. And so far, Darwyn Cooke has created and released a graphic novel called The Hunter, which is just a straight adaptation of the novel, as well as an oversized edition of The Man with the Getaway Face, which is a prelude to his next one, The Outfit. Now, what is The Hunter about? Parker is your average career criminal. He's a take-no-nonsense kind of guy who solves problems with his fists or with bullets, and he takes a job every so often and will live off the money from that job for a while with his wife and live high off the hog, as you will. And when that money runs out, he will then have another job. Enter a weasel named Mal Resnick, who shows up and convinces Parker to take this really easy job. And so he does. And the job goes off without a hitch. Everything is fine until it's time to count the money. And Mal decides that he wants to take it all for himself and actually convinces Parker's wife to shoot him for him because he's a weasel and he didn't want to do it himself. They both leave him for dead and they go off into the sunset. Parker is made of sterner stuff, however, and comes back to exact his revenge on his betraying wife and the weasel Mal Resnick, who has since taken the money and bought his way into The Outfit, which is a corporate-like criminal empire. So that puts him at odds with them as well, and that's no good. So, does Parker get his revenge? Does he get his money back? Does he kill everyone in his path? I know the answer, but I ain't telling you. This is something you definitely need to get for yourself. Whether or not you pick up the novel, or the graphic novel, or you watch the movie. There is a movie based on it called PAYBACK, which is directed by the guy who directed LA Confidential. And it's starring Maria Bello, Mel Gibson, Lucy Liu. It's a great, great movie. I just recently picked up the director's cut, which, when the movie was first released back in the early 90s, they shot an entire movie based on the book. And it's a little different than the book, but overall, all the beats are there. And Mel Gibson and the producers wanted to make it more audience friendly, so of course, they reshot the entire ending, and the one that was released in the theaters has a completely happy ending. Everything goes very smoothly and everything works out. The original ending, which they've just released on the director's cut, is a little iffy. You're not quite sure. It could be bad, it could be good. I'm not going to ruin it, but I definitely recommend it. The theatrical version is great on its own. I think you should definitely check that out if you get a chance. But the director's cut, I think, is probably better. It's a lot bleaker. This is very minimal on the kooky hijinks, and is just pretty much straightforward. And it's a pretty badass movie. I gotta tell you, it's really good. But it's an excellent, excellent film. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's dark, it's gritty, and Mel does a great job as Parker. Or, I'm sorry, Porter. This is one of the adaptations that they were not allowed to use the actual name Parker. So his name throughout the movie is Porter. But he does a great job at it. It's definitely one of my favorite movies. Now, back to the graphic novel. If you know Darwyn Cooke, he has a very simplified kind of 60s style, 50s, 60s style of illustrating, and he definitely bumps it up. He definitely uses that to his advantage in this book. It's a perfect Darwyn Cooke book. As you can see, the only color in this book is blue, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful book. He does an amazing job. My only complaint is that the blue in the book is a little too deep. And sometimes when there's no word balloons and the text is just black on the blue, it's a little difficult to read. So I think that was a bit of a misstep. I think that they definitely could have changed that in post. Maybe they could have done something so that the text broke free of the blue a little bit. But overall, it's a beautiful, stunning piece of work, and I highly recommend it. I have fallen in love with Parker as a character. He's very no-nonsense. There's not a lot of wit with him. Like, he'll come out with the occasional barb, but overall, he's basically just there to kick ass and take names. And he's a great character. You don't know his first name. His name is just Parker. But I'm hoping I don't get tired of it. I can see how maybe this type of character is sort of one-dimensional and you might get tired of him, but I think it really depends on what situations you put him in. A quick side note for anybody who likes the film noir motif, a comic book writer who is current, he does write a lot of modern film noir type books. And this guy's name is Ed Brubaker, who I'm sure you've heard of, and he also does a bunch of books called Criminal. The first trade paperback is called Coward, and this is right up there with Parker. Very noir, very stark, very bleak, and it's just a heist movie gone wrong, basically. If you like heist movies, if you like Heat, and those sorts of films, I definitely recommend Criminal. Pick up the first trade. It's called Coward. It's $14.99. It's cheap. But it's an excellent, excellent graphic novel. But I definitely think I like Parker better. So if you're going to go for one of them, grab Parker. So that's pretty much it for this week. I do recommend that you pick up Parker, Coward, The Man with the Getaway Face, and this one's only $2. Pick it up, it's cheap. And New Frontier. Also, watch Payback and let me know what you think. I don't think many people know about this movie, despite it being a Mel Gibson film. I think it blew past a lot of people. So if you get a chance on Netflix or, I don't know, go rent it. Do something. Download it. It's called Payback, and this is straight up the director's cut. I'm curious to see which one you guys prefer. Let me know. Leave a comment below, and I'll talk at you later.